Well, there I am. All right, let's see.
Hey guys, how are you? I'm just doing a quick sound check to make sure you can hear me. Hey Steve. So we're gonna get started in a bit, probably in about 7 minutes. I've got a bunch of people logging in. Just keep everybody on mute. Steve, I'll unmute you in just a second, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks.
Steve, can you hear me? So we're gonna start in about 7 minutes.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, because I have a bunch of people emailing me that they're trying to log in. I'm here. All right, so I'm just gonna put it back on mute.
Okay.
Hi, Chase.
Hey.
All right, I'm gonna put you back on mute. What's up? Hey guys, just to remind you, we are live. So this is taping from when we started. So if you guys wouldn't mind, like don't get up, don't walk around. If other people come into, the view, again, I kind of want to keep it like just ahead, make sure, like everybody. And don't do anything on here you don't want other people to see. That was a whole nother webinar, but okay. Hey guys, I'm Alicia K back. It is nice to meet you. We're going to get started in about, let's see, about five to 7 minutes. I know there's a bunch of people trying to log in. I'm getting 1,000 emails as we speak. Just to remind you, we are live, so please keep everyone on mute. Okay, there will be a question and answer portion towards the end if we have time, but I just want to make sure everybody knows just to stay on mute, okay? Hi, Skin.
Mel, why you on my today? I'm doing something.
Hey guys, I'm Alicia K back. We're going to get started in just a couple of minutes. I just want to remind you we are live. If you could please refrain from any noises if you can. I'm going to keep everybody on mute. It's just going to be better so that way we can listen to Steve and get some wonderful advice today. So we're really excited and honored to have Steve Garin on the line. We are going to get started in just a couple of minutes, okay? But again, just a reminder, please keep yourself on mute. And especially if your video is on, please don't do anything you don't want other people to see. Hi, Denise Wade. What up, girl? Hi, Jason. Oh, so many friends on here. This is so cool. All right, we're going to get started soon, okay? Guys, just a reminder, because we are live and this is taped, I'm going to just ask everyone to please keep yourself on mute. If for any reason it becomes an issue, I will just dismiss you. And I say that with a smile. Look, see all these cool people? They're at their houses from all over the world. Cool, right? See, I could see everybody. Isn't that cool? Yeah. I keep adding more people. We're up to 30. 24 plus 6. Look at that. How cool is that? That's awesome, right? Those people live all over the world. All right, we're going to get started.
Right. Hello. Put it on. No.
Hey guys, I'm Alicia Kback. We're gonna get started in literally 2 minutes, really quick. I'm just making sure everybody can log in. Where are you, Steve? I'm gonna unmute you. I'm gonna put my camera on. Where am I? There I am.
Unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. I'm gonna put my camera on for a second so I could see you. You can see
Okay.
me. Hey everybody.
I can see a lot of people. I have a lot of little squares with people's
A
faces.
lot of squares. A lot of
Who's that guy
squares.
picking his nose? Sir, stop that. I'm just kidding.
You'd be surprised. I always have to remind people that we're live.
So you can flush before we start. Go ahead. And put the lid down. I'm kidding.
Let's see.
We're going to have fun, folks. This is going to
We're
be a
gonna
good
have
time.
so much fun. We're setting the tone. Hi Ashley Day. Hi Ramel. Wow, I know so many of you guys. This is so cool. Hi Stephen Kite Jr. All right. So I'm actually live from Florida. I'm in Orlando. So don't mind this. I'm at my parents' house right now. But I'm excited to see everybody. How many of you guys really quick have been on my webinars before? A lot of you. Wow, welcome back. But today's different. Today, you guys are going to have an overload. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started.
Today, I'm charging your credit cards. No, I'm kidding.
Yep, swipe.
Yeah.
JK.
I only do free things. No, you can't just. In this business, no, I actually just spoke for SAG and AFTRA, which I do once in a while because they think I'm an expert. I don't know why, but they do. And I have them fooled, just like I'm going to fool you guys today. But anyway, it's show business, and it is a business. And the people that give you knowledge, if you study with them, you need to pay for them. You never pay anybody who says they're going to get you work. You never pay anybody to be your manager or your agent because they deduct it from the salaries and the monies that you make when you get a job. And that's their job, to get you work and to get money from you when they get you work and not before. If you sign a deal to have them pay for pictures, then you have to pay them back for those things. But anyway, that's another thing aside. Today we're going to learn about voiceovers. Voiceovers are basically anything where you hear the person speaking but you don't see them. They could be commercials, they can be industrials, they could be cartoons, they can be audio books, video games. There's so many different things today that you can use your voice for. When I first started in the business, there wasn't a lot of work, but it paid a lot more money. Now there's a lot more work, but it doesn't pay as much money. But if you work steadily and you do the right things and get in with the right people who are lazy, that once they cast the right person and you're a dream to work with, you don't have an ego in the studio and you'll get coffee and do what you have to do, to keep your job. I mean, above board, do what you have to do to keep your job. You know, no Harvey Weinstein bathrobe things. You know,
Oh, rats.
all right. Oh, I'm sorry. Who said rats over there? Anyway, I'll give you a hard at the end if you're. He's lonely, by the way, right now.
Is he?
Anyway, yeah, I guess he is. So I don't know, Alicia. I want you to make sure that we do have time for a Q&A with these
Yeah, of
folks.
course.
So don't let me talk too much because I do have a tendency to talk a lot. I've been
It's
in this
okay.
business for a long time. It's kind of second nature to me. I produce now, and I've directed and produced practically everybody I've watched on TV since I've been a kid. You know, in audiobooks and things like that. So it's become a wonderful part of my life, and voiceovers. There's nothing like them because you can be anybody. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what color you are. Although today they do like to cast true to ethnic for certain reasons. People get mad if you put a British actor in an American role and vice versa. But but there's a lot of work out there today, and with Amazon and all these different companies doing commercials and movies and Netflix and Hulu, and there's looping movies and dubbing, and you can ask questions if you don't know what I'm talking about, but I'll try to explain it as I go along. Looping is when, for instance, let's say an actor uses the F word in a movie and they're going to put it on television. They need to take it out. They don't want to just bleep it or cut it. So you go in and you say, "Oh, fudge," or "Oh, fuck."
They've been on my webinars. They've heard it, right, guys? Chase, where are you? Right? Sometimes
anyway,
it just comes out.
I'm sorry, Alicia, but you need to be trained, just like you need to be trained to be an actor. I mean, things that look easy, well, you got to work hard to make something look easy. If you're good at something, then of course it looks easy, but it may not be easy for you because of all the hard work that you put into it to get to that point where it looks easy.
So your career, I mean, when we know that you won an Emmy, I mean, obviously they didn't just hand you a little statue. And let's talk about when you knew, Steve, that you wanted to be a voiceover actor, and what steps did you take to get where you are today?
Well, when I was a kid, I always did voices and things, and my mother and my grandmother wanted me to be a doctor, and of course I didn't want to be a doctor. So when I went to college, I took the science courses, but I took communications, and I was on the radio and did the things that I wanted to do, because the fastest way to succeed is to act like you're playing by other people's rules, while quietly playing by your own. Took a moment to get that out because it is tough to do, but you have to do it, and sometimes it's tough when you want to do something in your life and people don't agree with that, because show business is a tough business. It's when you say, well, I want to get into voiceovers and things like that, they say, well, how do you do it? Well, I didn't want to get into voiceovers. I wanted to be a stand-up comedian, and I stayed at comedy clubs at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I got up and I did stuff, and I was funny, but I couldn't make any money. And then one day I was making $25 a set, and I was going to 3-4 sets a night, making $75 a night for a whole night, and coming home and then having to get up and go to my day job. I got a call to do this thing called a voiceover, and I auditioned for it, and they wanted some kind of character, some space age caveman. So I auditioned for it, and I got the job, and I went in, and I walked out, and he handed me a check for $1,200, and I said, "Wow." And he goes, "Yes, there's 5 more sessions." I said, "Oh." And I went home and I said to my wife, "I just got 6 sessions. It's $1,200, $200 a session." And when I went to do the next session, he gave me another check for $1,200. I called my wife because they had pay phones. We didn't have cell phones back then. And I said, "It's $1,200 5 more times."
That's awesome.
So anyway, I liked voiceovers. So stand-up comedy was always one of my loves, but I went into voiceovers. And folks, let me tell you something. There's no business like voiceovers. If you learn a lot about language, you learn a lot about what you're saying. And don't speak at people, talk to people. When you read something, read it to yourself, go over it. And it's funny, I was telling Alicia about this, and just a couple of days ago was her 97th birthday with Carol Channing. I recorded Carol Channing doing her autobiography, Just Lucky, I guess. And she had had a fight with Simon and Schuster when she did the book, and she was doing the audio book, and then she had a fight with them and walked out. And my friend Joe Franklin was having lunch with Carol and invited me, and then Carol told the story, and Joe said, well, why don't you hire Steve to record you? So she hired me and came into my studio. And, you know, when I record you, I sometimes give you a little bit of direction, especially if it's going to make it sound better. It's in my studio. I don't step on anyone's toes, but I like to give a few suggestions. So the following day, she came in and actually hired me to direct her doing her audiobook. And her reason was, you had me do Ethel Merman, you had me do George Burns, you had me do all the characters in the book, where the woman from the publishing company just had me read the words off the page. Excuse me, is that somebody over there talking to their kids or their dog? Could you mute yourself? Because, you know, thank you. Anyway, so I don't know, what else can I tell you? I don't like to brag about myself. You know, we're a talent, we're always insecure, because when you're finished with the next job, you're saying, is somebody going to hire me for the next job? And hopefully, and usually they do, but we sit back and we just do the job that you're doing and be the best that you can be. And, you know, you win an Emmy, you're nominated for a Grammy. It's a wonderful thing, because those are your peers that are voting for you. And what happened? Oh, those are your peers that are voting for you. And that's one of the biggest honors, you know. And of course, you want everyone that put you where you are. I mean, voiceover artists aren't really famous. I mean, I don't know how many voiceover artists you know. One of the biggest voiceover names that I knew, and I don't know what's happening on the screen. There's a lot of stuff.
I don't either.
Oh, sorry, I should just ignore it and keep talking. We're still talking.
You're good. Just keep going.
Okay. A guy named Alan Blevis. Alan Blevis, everybody's heard his voice all over. He just passed away. He was one of the top voiceover guys. I recorded him many times, and I remember him saying he did a job. It was a 30-minute finished voiceover, and he did it in 25. No, he did it in 35 minutes because there was one pickup. And the guy said to him, "Do you want to do another line again?" He goes, "I'll do it, but I got to do it real fast because I got a car downstairs ready to take me to my next gig. And I booked it close because I didn't think I would have to do a pickup." That's how good this guy was. He was a one-take guy. But there's so many people, you don't know their names. You know the Don Pardos because they're announcers on TV. But voiceover people today, a lot of them are actors. A lot of them are famous actors. You know, that's what a lot of the big publishers use to sell their books. They use the names.
Yeah, I hear a lot of the cast from Modern Family doing a lot of voiceover work, which don't they make enough, right? Like I hear something, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's Phil Dunphy, right? You guys, right? Anyone?
Well,
no?
I have to say that I don't want to sound like you can never really make enough.
True.
Because what happens is you have a manager, you have an agent, you have kids, there's private school, there's college, listen, there's voiceover lessons, there's coaching. A good friend of mine is Marilyn Sokol, and you guys can Google her, Sokol. Marilyn is a private coach, but Marilyn only works with you if you have a TV series or if you. Anyway, she worked with Kim Cattrall. Kim Cattrall got her Emmy due to working with Marilyn. But no matter where you are in your career, you're going to continue to study to get to the next level. My brother-in-law is a very famous portrait artist. He did the portrait of Cardinal Egan that's in St. Patrick's Cathedral, as well as Dolan and a few other ones. And he still takes painting lessons. And I tease him. I said, "Well, you don't know how to paint already?" I mean, but yes, because there's just always that something. I mean, I learn something every single day. You know, I do. When I do a job with somebody and I'm working on a script, of course, I do as much preparation as I can before I get into the studio. Um, Sometimes you get into the studio and you're both working on something, and a method of delivery comes up, and then you look at it, and then they look at it, and then you start to analyze it a little more, and you learn from that. Everything is a process. I mean, this is a business, believe me, and you really have to take it seriously. The stars, some of the stars are prisoners when you get to be that big. That's why I never wanted to be famous. That's why voiceovers was great. You could do it in your pajamas, and Harvey would know he could do it in his robe. He might be getting into that business coming up. You never can tell. Anyway, are we good? Do we have time, or should we?
Booked on Tape by Harvey Weinstein. That would be great. Well, I wanted to go over really quick just how you and I met. When I used to have my radio show, hey guys, I'm Alicia K-Back. I know you see my name on here, or it's just as VIP Ignite Live. But networking to us is so, so, so important. And when I had my very first radio show with CBS Digital, our good friend, our mutual friend, the late Joe Franklin, who literally was the first pioneer talk show host, was such an amazing mentor to me. And that's how I met you, Steve. And I love the fact that you've been out to our networking events in New York City. How important do you think networking is in any aspect of show business? Where are you? Where did you just go?
Funny. I'm up in the top.
Oh, there you are.
I'm up in the top corner. It's funny because it's who you know that lets you do what you know. I have to say that you mentioned Joe Franklin. You guys can Google him. Joe Franklin invented the TV talk show. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records of having the longest running continuous TV talk show, but he was the first person to have a TV talk show. He had a radio show, and then people said when TV was just starting out, would you like to do a show on television? He said, sure. And they said, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to sit there and talk. And it turned into the talk show. As a matter of fact, A&E did a biography called It's Only Talk and gave Joe the credit.
And actually, Billy Crystal portrayed him on Saturday Night Live. That's how good he was.
And made him a national figure when he did that. Joe was known within the business. He gave the first exposure to Bill Cosby, Bruce Springsteen, Al Pacino,
Julia Roberts,
Barbra Streisand. But if it wasn't for Joe, I would have just been another audio voiceover engineer. Maybe I would have been nominated for a Grammy. I don't think I ever would have done Carol Channing's audiobook.
Oh, hold on. I just muted you by accident. Where are you? Hold on, Steve. Don't move.
I just unmuted myself.
Okay, good.
I was starting to sign. See how automatic that is? Someone thought, what's he starting to pick his nose? No, I'm on strike. I don't pick it. Anyway, but as I was saying, if it wasn't for Joe, I would probably just be a regular audio engineer, and Alicia wouldn't be asking me to speak, and SAG-AFTRA probably wouldn't ask me to speak, and whatever. But Joe has taught me a lot of things, and one of them that is, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And I give back, and that's why I'm doing this today on a Saturday for Alicia to help kind of inspire you guys to get out there and do it. Go for it.
Yeah, and we know a lot of you guys are part of our company. Some of you guys are brand new. Maybe this is your very first time kind of going through this with us. And we really do want to help people that want help. That's the most important thing with what we do. So like minds, think alike, and you really are what you surround yourself with. So when we meet people that have won Emmys, or I myself work on Broadway, I'm part of 5 Broadway shows that have won 6 Tony Awards. So when I'm networking, and today we're going over voiceovers, it is just so phenomenal to have legitimate people in the industry giving back and helping on a Saturday. And that's what this company is all about. And that's the reason why, it's so important that if you are trying to get into voiceover acting or modeling or music or anything, that you kind of need direction. I mean, a lot of you guys don't have it. I mean, I get emails all the time. So I kind of just wanted to go over with Steve. Steve, what does somebody really need in order to get started to do voiceover? Do they need a mic? What do they need?
Well, today you really should set up a nice little studio in your home if you can. You could go online and Google, depending whatever your price range is. You could get one, probably a setup for $500, probably being the least expensive. The most important component is the microphone. So I would tell you that not to get a cheap microphone. And then you're going to have to get something to baffle around the sound because if you're doing an audio book, you're totally dead. A lot of people, if you have room and if you have a house, you can do it in your basement. You can make your closet, your voiceover booth. You can surround you some stuff around you and do that. But yeah, today you really want to be able to do it from your home, unless you have a studio. But you don't really need it.
And then there's software as well. Is that right? Like that you record into, or do you just put it on like an iPhone and just go with it?
Well, I mean, if you're sending an audition to a casting director or an agent or a manager, you can just record it on your phone and you can send them an MP3. But if you're doing a job, then naturally you need to be able to do it with some integrity and quality. So you probably would want to get yourself a good computer. I recommend a Mac. Get some type of a Mac, and if you don't want to go out and spend for audio software, Macs come with GarageBand, so you can start with that, or go online and Google and freeware and take some free software audio and recording software and do it yourself. Unless you're really editing and doing it, because I have professional software. I use Logic Pro and I edit on Final Cut and things like that. So, but then again, it's up to how much you want to get into the business.
And obviously for voiceover work, there's industrials, TV, film, video games, commercials. I was writing down notes. Consumer electronics. Imagine being the voice of Siri, right? That would be so cool. Animation. What kind of money could you make doing voiceover work, Steve?
Well, it's funny. I have an agent, so I probably would get more money than somebody like yourself who doesn't, because they would be the ones speaking for me and submitting me for jobs. But it depends on what it's used for. I mean, as I said today, there's a lot more work that pays a lot less money. I mean, you could do a job on that website Fiverr and get paid $40 to do a voiceover.
I love Fiverr.
To do it yourself. Yeah, there's a lot of people that use it and do it, and they start out that way. And I don't knock anything that gives anyone the opportunity to make money, because you need to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. And I don't say to you, go out and spend $20,000 and get yourself, a Neumann tube mic that's vintage or whatever. I mean, I had a Neumann tube mic that I recorded people on, and they used to call me up and they would say, what did you do to me when I was in your studio? I mean, I sound absolutely incredible. And I would just say, it was my mic.
And what was great about Fiverr is, even with my radio show, I remember Michael had somebody from Fiverr do it. And what was great was they didn't make very much money. They were just getting started. But what was phenomenal was that they were also able to use that for their reel to show different types of voices. So it was a win-win.
Of course.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it's a good way to do it, because I have to tell you, if you book something, if you are lucky enough to wangle your way in with a casting director and get an audition for a big job, and you book it and you're not ready for it, that's kind of suicide. You do the job, you get paid for it, but you're not going to work again so quickly. And I know a lot of people that's happened to. It took them years to get back in the confidence. Oh, I'm ready now. I'm ready. Well, we thought you were, but you weren't.
Now, do you suggest a reel? And if so, how long should it be? And how many different types of commercials or voiceover? Like what would you suggest in a reel? Like show a wide variety? Maybe like a cartoon voice versus an Allstate type ad? What are your suggestions?
You want to show a range in your reel, but you need to have reels for the different types of jobs there are. You need an industrial reel. You need an audiobook reel. If you want to do commercials, you need a commercial reel. If you want to do cartoons, you need an animation reel. They're all different. I mean, if you're just starting out and you don't all have them, it's good to have a little piece of everything. But unless you're really, really good at it, it doesn't pay to put on. And I'm kind of funny because I'm an engineer. Audio, I don't mean choo-choo, I mean I'm an audio engineer, so I can hear when something has all been recorded all at the same time and edited together, rather than when it's done at different times. I used to when I used to do people's demo tapes, I used to make them come in over three different sessions, and they'd say, "Why?" I'd say, "When I cut it together, I'm going to teach you how to listen to it, so it sounds like it was done at different times. People think you actually did the spots, because you need to do that sometimes, you know. Because if they think you weren't paid for it and you went out and did it yourself, it's not going to get you the kind of money that you deserve. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that'll have you do 5 or 6 different reels. If you work with me, and Alicia will tell you, because you know she's had some people that have worked with me. If you work with me, I try to get you out there to get work right away. I have you auditioning right away. If you have your own little room, your own little studio, that's even better. And when I work with you, I'm working with you on the audition, you know, an audiobook audition or something like that.
Steve, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. Some people are saying that they can't hear you. Can you guys hear Steve? Let's see.
I'm as loud as I can be. I must be somewhere.
Can you guys hear it? Okay, they can hear. Wendy Hart. Hey, Wendy. Okay.
Oh,
you guys can hear?
Yes, get that. No.
Okay, so he's cutting in and out. I don't know. I can hear him. Can you guys hear him? On your heads? Yeah? Okay, so most people can hear him. I don't know. Perhaps it's your Wi-Fi.
Why don't you guys unmute yourselves and just
I'm gonna just unmute them as we go, because if not, we have 50 people on here and it will be complete chaos.
Okay.
Okay, so at what point could somebody start trying to submit themselves out to get work? Is it, you know, brand new people, or do they actually need training to do this, or?
Well, you know, as I said, unless you've done this before, everything is a catch-22 in the business. You're not going to get an agent, and you're not going to get somebody to send you out on any major auditions unless you've done anything before, because it's all a matter of credibility in this business. Let's see, who is calling me right?
It's me. And that's something I wanted to go over really quick. With the agency, I know Steve and I were talking about you should never pay for representation, but you have to cover your own marketing expenses if you need to go to the studio or get headshots. Again, legitimate agencies do not charge fees up front, but they will take out anything they invest in you out of your paychecks. But if you are brand new, there are certain expenses that you will have to cover up front. Would you say that's true? Because I know there's a lot of the bad boyfriends in the industry, and I go over this on my webinars. But today's more so about voiceover work. But for those of you guys that are like, well, I have no training, I have no reel, I've never done anything, but I'm looking for somebody just to cover all my fees, does that exist? Like if you went to an agent.
Find yourself a sugar daddy or whatever. Agents aren't going to do that today, because there's so many people that want to get into the business. And again, no disrespect to anybody, we're a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
You know, my agent, I sometimes I gotta kind of hit him over the head before he realizes things. I'll tell you a quick little story. If you ever heard of the Ramones,
of course.
I brought him a concept. I'm friends with Marky Ramone, so I brought him a concept with the Ramones, and so he says to me, "Oh, I don't know about it." He's watching the Oscars. This was a few years ago. He's watching the Oscars, and he sees it started in the garage, and they had blah 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 blah. The Ramones. It was a Cadillac commercial. And then the next day, he sees the tribute to Joey Ramone, Bono, U2. And he's walking down the street, and he sees 2 people, 2 different times, walking at him with Ramones T-shirts. So he calls me up. He goes, "You know, I think this Ramone thing's got some legs." So, you know, a lot of times casting directors and agents, they don't have imaginations because they've seen so much and they think they've seen everything. So you need to give them something different. My first job, it's very funny. I auditioned. I went out and I got backstage, and I used to go out and get it early, and I never knew that was really the way to do it. I don't know if backstage is the way to go today, audition-wise. I think there's a lot of other ways to do it, but back in those days, it was backstage. So I got it early, and I see a thing, it says, "Be Mr. Ed." So when I was a kid, I was Mr. Ed. I used to do the Wilbur voice all the time. I loved it, you know. So for Nickelodeon and MTV, and I believe they still audition the same way, they give you a time and they give you a telephone number, and you need to leave a message on the machine as your audition. It gives you the cue, it gives you whatever, and you can do twice. So I called up and I left this message as Mr. Ed, and I got called in and I got the job. And it was very funny because that same afternoon, I was with a major casting director who I mentioned her name to you, Alicia. Her name's Terry. I'm not going to mention her last name because she's a very big casting director. She does all the Pepsi, Pizza Hut, PepsiCo, the Cheetos, Cheeto, the Lion.
The big money makers.
When I first started, and I was in her office that afternoon when I had booked that other job, which I didn't know I had booked at that moment. And she said to me, after listening to my reel, do you have a day job? And I said, yes. And she said, do you like it? And I said, no, I don't like it. She said, do you make money? I said, yeah, I do make money, but I don't want to be carrying a briefcase around when I'm 50 years old doing that. I don't want to do that. And she said, you should keep your day job. Well, anyway, I went home. I was upset by that when I went home. I got good news. I booked this other job, so I was happy. So I decided I'm going to start sending postcards, and I went out and I got a big stamp made, just booked. And I wrote the job on it, and I sent it to her. Well, she called me in for another audition, and it was between me and this one guy down to the end. And I swear to this day, when they said, which of the two would you pick? She said the other guy. But it was for a national network contact commercial. But anyway, she ended up writing a book called Breaking Into Commercials and called me up and said, I'm going to be coming east. I'd like to interview you in my book. And I said, as what? And she said, as success in voiceovers. Well, success is revenge. That's all I have to say right there, those 3 words. And I said, I'll be interviewed if you let me tell the whole story of what you said to me. And she said, of course. She takes me out to lunch. She got a little tape recorder. I feel so cocky telling that story. Keep your day job. How would you like your day job? And I wasn't being snotty when I said it. I was being, because I knew it was, I didn't want to be, smacky in the face, because you did ask me to be interviewed for your book, so I didn't want to be that. So
Finding Fame. Anybody on this call read Finding Fame yet? The first couple of chapters? Erskine? Jordan? Cool.
So I go through the whole story. The book comes out. She sends it to me with the little stickers where my pages are, and I open it up and I read it. And I call her up. I go, the whole beginning is missing. And she said, what do you mean? I said, the whole beginning where you told me not to quit my day, that I should keep my day job and everything. And you said, yes, but I said, but if I would have listened to you, I would have. She said, listen to me. Anyone that listens to anybody that doesn't listen to their heart and what they want to do, that's up to them. I said, but look at all the lives you ruined before me. She said, well, I never did that after you. I don't believe that, because I still believe to this day, because she actually judged Alicia one of those contests with me. And Lives is the best, and one, she was giving everybody ones. And I was looking at her, she goes, what are you, cheating off me? I said, no, why are you giving that guy a one? She goes, you don't give them a break. They don't give you a break. You gotta make your own break. You gotta, Alicia knows, she's been in the business. It's who you know that lets you do what you know how to do. They let you get good. They give you the opportunity.
You could be great. I mean, that's the biggest thing with us is you could be phenomenal. You could do voiceover work. You could be the next character on The Simpsons. You could be the next model, actor. Nobody gives a crap if nobody knows you exist. And a lot of times you're trying to market yourself to who you know, and it's not enough. I mean, it's really not enough, which is why we developed what we do. And that's why it's so important that everybody's on this call today, because we want to give back. We want to help people that want help. So, that there were a bunch of people registered, and a lot of them just sent me the replay. Okay, if it wasn't as important to you to meet with Steve today, who's just won an Emmy, no big deal. I mean, this is a pretty awesome thing that he's doing this because he wants to give back. And that's the biggest thing. So, Steve, who have you worked with, and what kind of success stories have you seen, people that have gone through your training?
I had nothing else to do this yet.
Oh, please. I'm sure. I follow you on Facebook. I know you're always.
She twisted my arm. She goes, would you please?
Yeah, Steve is a little bit low. You can barely hear him.
Steve is low. You can barely hear him.
Really?
Yes.
I'm as loud as I can be. We're on my computer. It might be your feed or whatever.
How many of you guys can hear Steve? Raise your hand.
Anybody hear me? No.
Okay. Yeah, a bunch. So what you would want to do, I mean, you're listening on a phone, so it's probably why it's not as good as it could be. But you definitely want to close down anything that you have up there, Facebook, because you probably have a lot of stuff running in the background. I mean, I'm horrible when it comes to tech. I don't talk tech, but that's my best assumption.
You want to open it up for a Q&A and let them just ask a few questions and what.
Yeah, you know what? Before we do that, can you give, let's say Denise Wade, hi Denise. Let's say Denise Wade is interested in doing some voiceover work. What kind of techniques would you tell Denise to practice before she goes an audition, or, I mean, what would you suggest?
Not knowing Denise or her type, it would be very hard for me to give, something like that. I mean, I don't even see the picture in here to see what you look like. Not that it makes any difference what anyone looks like with voiceovers, because it's how you sound really, and not what you look like. So I would tell you to if you're a singer, then you know how to breathe through your diaphragm. If not, you should do some exercises to learn how to breathe from your diaphragm, so you have diaphragmatic breath support, so you have the same intensity at the end of the sentence as you do at the beginning of the sentence, and things like that. And also you'll learn your phrasing, your timing, and your rhythm, and things like that. And unfortunately, it's not just a formula I could pour in a glass and say, like, just drink this 3 times a day and then come in and do it, because it's funny when I work with my students. Usually everyone says to me, I want to work. I want to get work right now. I want to get work right now.
Yesterday.
So listen, I would love to have you get work right now, because the more work you get, the more you're going to keep paying me and coming back. So yes, but before you get work, you have to get good, and you have to learn how to be competitive, and you have to learn techniques. So there are things, just like if you wanted to be a professional baseball, basketball, or football athlete. And I say athlete because it takes training. You're not just a player. You're a player once you're on that field and once you're making those salaries. But until then, you're an athlete, and you're training to be that superstar or that player. I was lucky. I did a lot of work for the record labels, the music business. I closed my studios in 2010 because the whole business is totally changed. I went into a different area. I went into the music video. I should have stayed where I was with commercials and voiceovers, but I saw a lot of money and I was making a lot of money, so I did it. And I say to myself, you need to really learn the business and watch the business, and stay with your strengths and build upon them. If you can put in your own home little studio, do it, and practice every single day. Practice and listen to yourself. Don't do things, for instance, I'm going to tell you this story real quickly. I had one of my students. All he wanted to do, and I hope he's not on this. I don't think he is. All he wanted to do was Indian accents. He always wanted to do an Indian accent. So I said, listen, you need to practice. And I gave him a dialect CD so he would learn pronunciations. Because, you can download and do that. If you want to learn any language, any dialect, any accent, you can download and learn them today yourself. You go to YouTube and get them for free. Years ago, I had to buy all of them, actors, British, English, and everything to learn. So he did it, and then he did something. He auditioned for something, which was a very short piece, but the narrator was an Indian voice narrator, and he kind of killed himself, because he couldn't do it. You had to tell him that he couldn't do it. So you have to be careful. If you're going to go and try to be a character, and it's more than a 30-second character, you better be so good that you wake up in the morning talking like that character, or else it's just going to kill you. Go with what's good. And if you're going to do narrations, single voice.
Single voice.
Do a single voice. And do short books. I mean, it's 9,000 words an hour. So if you see it says it's 18,000 words, that's a 2-hour finished book. That's going to take you at least 8 hours to record, and it's going to take you at least 32 hours to edit if you're editing it yourself. So think about the time that you're going to do to do that. So I would tell you that look for books that are 2,500 words, because it's a 15-minute finishing book. It'll take you maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to read through it, and then 4 to 6 hours to edit, things like that. And there's a lot of ways to start off and get working and do it.
I have a question. Let's say, for example, Allstate is hiring for a voiceover actor. Would you necessarily go to a studio for them, or would you just record at home, get the script, and then just send it to them? Like, what is the typical?
Here's the thing. The typical, for somebody like Allstate or Aflac, who was replacing my friend, Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh, Gilbert.
Losing the duck. And I actually auditioned for the Aflac. I knew I wasn't going to do it. I knew they were just going to give anybody go, Aflac. Anybody could do that. My friend, let's give it to Jim. It's 200,000. Jim could use the 200,000. Well, so could I. Give it to me. No, Aflac. He got it. So, anyway, my agent said, just do it in your phone and send it. So it depends. I mean, years ago, you'd go into the studio and you'd line up with a bunch of people in the same room who don't look like you, or maybe they look like you, but they all sound like you. And all you do is you go up to the floor and you would just hear that duck or whatever you're auditioning for, But today, if you have your own set up at home, your agent will call you and say, here's the breakdown, or they'll send you the script and they'll say, this is what you have to do. Some actors subscribe to the breakdown services so you can get the things themselves. If you're able to submit yourself, that's good. Most of the big jobs, you need to be submitted by someone.
Yeah, and I do get a lot of people that are always interested in doing animation, like Santino Fontana, who's a friend of mine. He was in the movie Frozen. He played Prince Hans. Tony nominated from Cinderella on Broadway. To get those big jobs at Disney, would they ever let just a newbie do it, or is it something that's an open audition, or do you feel like you have to kind of have a little bit of notoriety to land that type of job?
You need, and by the way, you are in Florida. That's where those auditions.
But I can't hear you now.
So those auditions are in Florida and California. Those auditions, you need to know the casting director. If you don't have an agent to send you in for the audition, then a casting director. Casting directors can call anybody. So if you can get casting directors to know who you are and respect your work, or know your work, or think that you won't shame or disgrace them by them calling you in for the audition, then yes, casting director.
Okay, so the casting directors are pretty much the puppets running the whole entire, production.
You're the puppet master.
Who?
The casting director.
Yeah, the casting director for sure.
For instance, if your agent wants to submit you, the casting director will say you have 5 slots, and they can fill the 5 slots, and the casting director can cross off 2 or whatever and accept whoever. But the casting director is really the gatekeeper of the spot.
So in order to get an agent, you need to have some type of experience, kind of set up some marketing, kind of go out there and get your feet wet. And then that agent will help you with the casting director unless you have those connections on your own, correct?
Well, let's put it in language so everybody understands.
Okay.
An agent is your pimp. And
I say that all the time.
Unless you're making money, your pimp ain't going to put you out on the street.
Yeah.
So agents, you don't get an agent unless you've had work. I mean, when I got my agent, it was because I was starting to book a lot of work on my own, and I was getting to a point where, because I had casting directors call, which was great. I got friendly with a few casting directors. So this guy's funny, this guy's good, or this guy could do a lot of different voices, and I would get called in. So it's that's what you have to do. You have to get known, and you have to listen, it's a tough business. It really is.
Yeah, and a lot of the castings like on Backstage, I mean, again, those are you're not going to get real breakdowns like the high level, high paying opportunities without an agent. And that's pretty much okay. My goals are to be working. Now, what if somebody went to school for audio engineering or sometimes people, study voiceover acting. What would you say are like some of the first steps you would tell somebody that maybe wants to get? Do they need to be in New York or LA, or can they live anywhere?
Well, it's funny. There's advertising agencies and there's TV stations and there's commercials and voiceovers done all over the world. So you can live and do it anywhere. You don't have to live in you don't have to live in New York. You don't have to live in LA. And today, doing audiobooks and sending the files in, you can record it. It's a whole different business. Alicia, I mean, look at this. You're doing a webinar that was 44 people. We lost 6 people. I don't know if they passed away or they just had to go. But anyway, it's you can do it from anywhere today. That's why studios have closed. I mean, you don't need a studio.
Yeah. I mean, typically we do these workshops in New York or LA at my office in Philly. And, it's just kind of great. We have people on here from all over the world. And, I definitely thank everybody for being on. One thing I did want to go over, or better yet, let's open it up to some questions. Who has questions? Raise your hand if you got a question. Anybody question? All right, so Rashida has a question. I'm just going by and please don't unmute yourself. I'll unmute you for you. Rashida Bryant, unmute. All right, Rashida, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Steve. Hi, Alicia. How are you?
Hey, good.
How are you?
So let's say that you've already gone through the process of creating a voice reel. You have a demo reel that's ready for submission. What is the best way to go about finding an agent? Would you recommend going on for their services there, meeting people in person? How?
Unless Rashida, I don't know if you were listening. Unless the reel is work you've been paid for, you're wasting your time sending it to an agent.
And reason being?
Work you haven't been paid for. An agent might get 5 slots for an audition. They send what's called bookers. If they know that you're a worker or a booker, they do it. Nobody is going to give you a chance today. That's what I was just saying. I got an agent years ago because I was booking jobs and I needed somebody to negotiate them. It was getting bigger and bigger because I was getting called in by the casting directors. If you can get an agent to freelance with you, if your reel is really, really, really good and it doesn't sound like you put it together yourself, and it sounds like something you might have actually done, then you might be able to get somebody. But you're going to get a small agency if anyone listens to it. I mean, I'm not trying to be discouraging, but unless you're getting work, you're not getting an agent.
So for me, because I get a lot of applicants, they're building the reel and they're putting time and money sometimes into the reel, and they're sending them out to agencies to try to get an agent to sign them to get the bigger jobs. But what you're saying is the reel it's not really going to help them. No pun intended.
No, not unless they've been paid for the work that's on the reel.
Okay. So work smarter.
I get so many people that send me emails, and I got this very nice lady sent me an email about her son who's in school and he wants to be an actor and everything. And I said, okay, well, send me his reel. And she said, well, we'll put something together. And I said, no, please don't put something together.
Okay. But let's just say on an opposite like spectrum, just, for devil's advocate, let's say, for example, Rashida came out to one of my events in New York or LA and sat down with the casting director and did a voice. Is there a way to bypass that? Like if she met a casting director through me?
Sure. I mean, if you're able to get face to face with a casting director or I don't want to say an agent because casting directors are really the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Agents, and that's why I say casting directors called me in, because I marketed myself to casting directors, and then kind of went around because I was going to agents, and I was just like throwing my stuff up in the air and hoping God grabbed it. He did. But when I went to casting directors, it was a whole different thing, you know. So it opened a lot of different doors. So I would say casting directors, any networking event where you can meet these people or study with. I took classes with casting directors, you know, so they would see my work and get to know my work, so that if an agent submitted me on a list, they would see Steve Garin and say, yeah, call him, let him come in. They wouldn't cross my name off. They would leave it on. I'm not being mean by any means. I'm being realistic. Everyone goes, yeah, I'm going to get an agent and I'm going to have it made. It doesn't work that way. I mean, if you
deal with those all day.
Right, but if you get somebody that's an honest manager that believes in your talent, doesn't say, well, just give me money, and we'll take a piece of what you earn if and when you earn, and if they get you sent out either through an agent by freelancing you through a number of different agents, and there are some smaller agencies that do freelance. Most of the bigger ones sign you, they don't freelance you. But that's after they've seen you've been signed by somebody else and you've been stolen away, or you go with them. That's what happens.
And you're also deemed high risk. I mean, Rashida, if you were to book a major job and it was going to be multiple days, I can't even tell you how many talent I have that just go missing. You know what I mean? Or they don't take this as seriously. They'll, swear up and down that they take this seriously, and then they disappear. This isn't their dream. And it's unfortunate. It's like a bad boyfriend sometimes, Okay, next question. Who else has a question? Raise your hand. Ellen? All right, let me see. I feel like we're in the Brady Bunch right now. I feel like I should be looking down and No, nobody wants to play? Okay. Ellen?
This is Ellen.
Oh,
Hello. Hey, I wanted to say that I really do appreciate the clearness and the reality check. Some people tell you things, but you all were very clear, and it's so true. So thank you.
Thank you.
I really do radio and TV, but I wanted to hear about voiceover. You never know.
You never know. You never know. And that's why we connect you with the experts. That's our whole, there's no catch on this. I want to help people that want help, which is why we are starting to do these. And actually in 2 weeks, we're going to have a really good friend of mine talk about a casting director, Jim Benzing. He's the head of casting for L'Oreal and Self Magazine and Tory Burch and Adidas and J. Crew and Old Navy and The Gap and American Eagle. So again, meeting the casting director live, and that we're going to be doing that in about 2 weeks, right after we get through Fashion Week. New York Fashion Week is coming up, so.
I like fashion. See, I like modeling too. That's the thing I like, but I still want to learn. So thank you. I just thank you both.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for being on.
For joining us.
All right, who else has a question? Carl Joe, let's see. Hold on. Scrolling down, it's in alphabetical order. Give me a second. Unmute. Hey, Carl.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
All right. Right now, I do voiceover, and it's embarrassing I don't remember the company that I'm working with, but it's one of my speaking coaches. The question is, we have several different agencies that come to Illinois, and it's always a want to, quote unquote, make people famous. And like you said, don't pay them fees, but they say the fees include, you being on stage, taking your pictures, and possibly managing. What do you think about organizations? So we're going to create this event, and you pay to be on stage. Is that legitimate?
Events are fine. We're talking about pretend agencies that try to sell you, well, you need to buy my photos or no agency should represent you based on you purchasing something. Networking events, like I do an event, I do a 3-day event at the Lowe's, which is a 5-star hotel off of Highland and Hollywood. And for me, I've been in the business for 11 years, so like that, I write with Forbes, an entrepreneur. And in order to meet high level people, you have to pay for it. There is no, because the thing is if you were to meet somebody on this type of level and somebody did an event, what would they get out of it? Because these events are expensive. I know my events cost almost $250,000. And the only reason why I'm able to get people like Steve is because I know somebody like Joe Franklin, and I met them because my shows did win Tony Awards. You get it? So when somebody's going to offer to you on a silver platter, depending on who that organization is, like one of the companies we were mentioning, Steve and I, 1,000 applicants, $10,000 a piece, and the talent walk up and down runways with numbers pinned to them. I have 2 words: hell no. You know what I mean? $10,000, no.
That's the events
You're
I'm talking
never
about.
going
They
to
be coming
speak
to
to
Illinois,
somebody.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll never be able to speak to somebody one-on-one. Even this call right now, with you being able to ask a question. I mean, you didn't see all the blood, sweat, and tears that it took to even get Steve on this call, and all the years it took to even become friends with him. You know what I mean? Not to sound like, does that make sense?
Right.
What you really need to do is you need to kind of vet the organization itself. I mean, I can vouch for Alicia because I know her reputation, and I wouldn't work with her or waste my time if she was one of those fly-by-night people. But you really need to check out organizations. They say they're going to showcase you, they're going to get you up on stage, they're going to do this. I mean, as a voiceover guy, what do you want to be on stage for?
You need one-on-one. You need to sit there and just corner them in a room, not Harvey Weinstein again. But you need to be able to sit there and just talk. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing with us. Or even meeting like, Alan Zweibel, one of the head writers for Saturday Night Live and Curb Your Enthusiasm, all of the everybody that we have, whether it's a label, a casting director, a producer, an agent, they all kind of mesh into, does that make sense? They all are super awesome because they're all helping you network with other people. And, like Ellen said, like maybe you don't know somebody, but maybe they do. And that's the biggest thing. I think that when you do find your niche and what it is that you want to do, it's important that you surround yourself with real people that can help you get there. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yep.
There's a lot of bullshit in this business and a lot of unscrupulous criminals. And so even for me, like, I have to go through interviews in order to even accept you to sit down with Steve, because if you're psycho, that relationship with Steve and I, bye-bye. You got it?
Right. Okay,
so,
great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Good luck, brother.
Was that too mean, Steve? Okay. Who else?
You have to be honest. I mean, there's so many people willing to take money from actors
and get nothing
and give back nothing to the actors. And I don't believe in that. I wouldn't do it. I mean, there's a guy who does a voiceover workshop, and somebody was just talking to me about him, where he sells you a package to make CDs. Nobody accepts CDs anymore.
No.
No agents, no casting. They don't want them. I mean, if you sent me a CD, I would keep the case and throw out the CD.
I get them. I get postcards, CDs, press kits. And that's a good point. Even with a lot of the different websites people join, like the Explore Talent and the Casting 360s, and this is something I really want to notate. You're not going to meet people like Steve Garin or top people on Saturday Night Live or Curb Your Enthusiasm or any major high-level expert off of a website because you're one of a billion up on a website. Hi, Ashley Day. Sorry, I get excited when I see people I know. And she's all the way in Hawaii. Aloha. I wasn't kidding, Steve. Worldwide here. But yeah, don't spend a lot of money to join these websites, a lot of them, because again, it's just pay for play. You're going up on websites with 100,000 other people, and you're not really getting marketed directly. Make sense? And they're not coming to find you. And you can hit refresh all you want, but it's like joining eHarmony.
Do your own website. They're free today.
Yep.
Free basic website. Load up your own demos or your reels or any of your work, and then just get into Google AdWords or get into the search engine with keywords, and you can do it. And again, go to casting calls, and if you see things, look for cold casting and subscribe to Backstage online, because they do, and you have to get it right away, and you have to look at it the moment that it's the new episode or the new issue or however the casting listings are up there, and do it right away. But there's a lot of work you could get out there. I mean, I have friends that have gotten commercials, as an extra and been upgraded as a principal from doing that. So, until you have somebody that's sending you out, you have to be your own agent, your own talent, and your own paymaster, and you need to really put it together yourself. I mean, Alicia can help you organize yourself. I mean, that's what she does, and she's excellent at doing it. but you
As
need
long
to-
as you follow what it is that you need to do. Like if I let you go to my event in New York or Hollywood and you go and you just want to take selfies and you don't have the follow-up skills, you will fail. Like these people are too busy to keep finding you. Does that make sense? And even if you were to create a website, websites are great, but unless somebody's actually going to it and unless you're marketing it to somebody legitimate, you have a website for bragging purposes that is just sitting stagnant.
And also, today you can start your own YouTube channel. I mean,
Yep.
I kind of did one a few years ago as on a whim, and then I get an email from YouTube saying, "Would you like to monetize your site?" And I said, "Why?" And they said, "You're getting a lot of hits." I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Yeah." So I monetize it, and every few months I get a check or they wire $100 in. I mean, I think it's a one click, a penny for every 1,000 clicks or something, but people click on it and people, they do it. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it. You can do a YouTube channel, you can put your website, you can connect everything together. I mean, today, anybody looking to do it for free, do it yourself, do it for free.
And Steve, you had trained somebody that went on to be the voice of what? We were just talking about it. Was it the 76ers or what was it?
Yeah, one of my former students and I still keep in touch with him, he's the voice of the Philadelphia 76ers. Actually, one of my female voice talents is the voice of New York City buses. That's her telling you to get out the back door and whatever and do all that stuff. So yeah, I have a lot of people who kind of blame their careers on me, but all I do is I'm a stepping stone. I can teach you what to do, but you have to do it because I'm not going to get you work. I'm not a placement society. Anybody that says study with me and I'll get you work, bullshit. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Show
happens.
SBBS. There's nobody that can guarantee you work. And if they say they can, ask them for 5 numbers in the Powerball.
Exactly. For sure. I'm just reading here. I'm getting a bunch of notes as you're speaking. Chase Baker. Hi, Chase. I'm going to pull Chase up. Hi, Chase Baker. Can you hear us?
Hear me
I
now?
can't hear you. Okay.
Ah. How you doing, Steve?
I'm good.
Hey, Alicia. Hi, everybody. So I've had a huge interest in voice acting for a long time because I grew up watching all those fantastic cartoons and animation and video games and whatnot. And I personally think I have a great personality and voice for the job, but I've never had any idea as to where to start to actually get any work, how to start a reel or anything like that.
Where are you?
I'm in Virginia Beach.
Oh, okay. All right. If you were in California, I would recommend one of the best coaches.
Chase. Actually, Chase is working with us now, Steve. We started Ignite Certified Partners, and we do training. So Chase is actually working with us now as a talent scout. And he's going to comedy clubs and going up, right, Chase? So we're teaching him the ins and outs of the industry the right way.
Cool.
Yeah, so Chase, maybe you need to come out to my LA event, June 30th, Hollywood.
How much is it?
$1 million.
Oh, is that all?
There's only 125 tickets per event, Steve can tell you. And it's very intimate, not in a creepy way. But you really get face-to-face time, which is phenomenal. Plus, the networking and the learning and yeah.
HW. Harvey. No, stop that.
So what is the best way, Chase, is that your question? Like, what is the best way to get started?
Yeah. What do I do first?
Well, have you taken any acting lessons?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done a little bit of acting.
Have you taken acting lessons?
No.
You need to take acting lessons.
Okay.
What you may call acting and what might be acting are different things. So you need to find, and if you're going to study with an individual, study with somebody that worked.
Yeah.
Working. But what you need to do, so if you were in New York, I would tell you to go to HB Studios. Because
HB Studios?
Yeah, it's Herbert Berghoff, Uta Hagen. I studied there, and I studied with some of the most incredible people because you study with big actors. I mean, I studied with William Hickey, who was nominated for an Oscar. He was the old man in Prizzi's Honor. I studied with him, and there's Louise Lasser teaches. There's a lot of people that. She was Mary Hartman. There's a lot of people that teach there, and it's very reasonable because it's really kind of like a non-profit. When I went to school there, it was 12 lessons for $60. Now it's 12 lessons for like $144. It's $12 an hour. But you should check it out, HB Studios. If you could come into New York once a week or whatever, look at it, because you want to study with people that have a reputation. Alicia will tell you these are people that, if you study with somebody and they know you, they might give you the audition or a lead to an audition because they see your talent. Most people like myself, and I'm not saying this to get anybody to study with me or whatever, because I can't get you work. But if we hear of something and you're working with us, of course we're going to tell you. Why not? Yeah. If we feel that you're good enough and you deserve to have a shot at it, because why not? Why wouldn't we want to help you? Because that's what it is, and especially if you have a relationship with somebody, and if you know that they're really somebody that's good. I had a student, and he was a young guy. He worked at a radio station, and he wanted to get into voiceover. So he started studying with me, but he didn't do any of the work until like the moment he was walking in. Maybe he did it on the train coming into the city. And finally I had to say to him, Brad, I like you, you're a good guy, and you pay me every week. That's nice. But I'm wasting my time and you're wasting your time because you're not going to go anywhere unless you really special time.
And it's embarrassing too, like when you have people that want to do great things, and then, the 4 main reasons why talent fail, just so you guys know: lack of knowledge, like Rashida, I want to put together a reel and, submit it out, but unless you know what you're doing with it, you're wasting your time. Lack of finances, like, again, you're going to need a computer, you're going to need a mic, you're going to need money to go, if you get a casting or, to even go on these opportunities. What else? Family and friends don't support them. So like Chase, if your boyfriend or your friends or your parents don't support you in doing this, they're not, it's like dating somebody that your family hates. They're going to do everything in their power. Well, voiceover work, how's that going to pay the bills? And you're like, well, actually, Steve Garin won an Emmy. You know what I mean? And this is why we have these calls, because safety in numbers. We want to teach people, live out your dreams. Please don't ever let anybody tell you can't do it.
Anyway, listen, so Chase, so after smacking Brad around verbally, he got to it, and so far he's done his 12th audiobook.
Okay.
All right. So I really didn't want him to not study with me, but I didn't want him to just keep paying me and not getting anything out of it. Because as much as I like money, like everybody else, you feel guilty taking money from people if you have any integrity and you're not giving anything back to them or not helping them. I mean, he could afford it. He had a couple jobs. He didn't care. I care. I would rather spend the money with somebody that would do something. And he is, and he's doing it, and he's still studying, and he's, I Skype with him, and, so that's what you got to do. You got to get good. I mean, I know you were asking a question that, yes, I've done some acting. Take some acting class. Read some books, at least. So
I read tons of books, yeah.
Well, but you want to have technique.
Oh.
Doing a voice, try to do a book where you have to go from voice to voice to voice to voice to voice to voice in 3 or 4 different.
Oh.
So, I mean, those are the kind of skills that you can develop and do. And I'm not trying to be intimidating, but I'm giving you steps, crawl before you walk, like where to go. Because there isn't just doing that one voice. I mean, I could do tons of voices. That's what I made a living. I sent both my kids through private school. My son's an Emmy Ward winning producer at ABC. Not because of me, but because of what he wanted. But he did.
No, I think you have something to do with that. All right, guys. Well, it is 4:10. My goodness, this hour went by so fast. I forgot I have a 4 o'clock appointment that I need to jump on. So I just sent him an email as you guys were talking. Okay, so what I want you all to do. How many of you guys enjoyed this today? Anybody?
Me, definitely.
Right? Chase? Okay, awesome. So if you can, or would you please send me an email just send me a quick testimonial. You enjoyed it, scale 1 to 10. And if you're interested in getting on calls like this, again, we're going to send out a link for you to register. Again, we're going to have a huge casting director. It's fashion, commercial print, catalog. We're going to be doing these a lot. So if you are interested in joining us for the next one, that is by invitation only, we will provide a link for you, but I need you to send me an email. Just let me know your thoughts, because again, this was the first time we did something like this on this type of level. Thank you so much, Steve, for being on today. I love you for being on.
Sales would say, go to your parents' dresser, take all those pictures of those pieces of paper with the presidents and mail them to Alicia.
No, never. But, you know, the big thing with us is we want to help you if you're interested in succeeding. And, you know, a lot of you guys just wasting time and money, and you're just kind of throwing spaghetti up against the wall. And, you know, and when it doesn't work out, you look at us like we have two heads. Like, we really want to help people that want help. So thank you so much for being on. You guys all have my email address. I'm sure you got a billion emails from us, right? Because I get them too. And I'm like, again, another email for me, like, right? But I'm really thankful, Steve, that you're on. And Steve, we're doing the next big event in New York City. I believe it's in, oh my goodness. Okay, Chase, what do we have going on? We have Hollywood in June, Partner Con in Las Vegas in October, and I think we're doing another big networking event in New York, maybe December. There's so much cool stuff going on. But Steve, thank you so much for being on. And how many of you guys might be interested in doing some ongoing training, like real training with Steve? And if so, just please put it into an email as well. Send it over to me.
We'll see if there's something we can do. Maybe she'll want to do some group.
Yeah.
And if any of you do have your own recording facilities at home, or you're set up, let her know that you have that too, because that's how.
For sure.
In when I work with you, because I would have you work on your own mic and things like that, because you know, to train you that way would be the best. Did you have a question, Ashley? I see you have your hand up and you're muted.
Ashley, we do have to log off. I apologize, Steve. It's after 4, and I have to jump on this call really quick. Okay, guys, perfect. It was so nice seeing you. And again, at our networking event, you can meet Steve live. And in LA, Steve, we need to get your friend that I wanted at the last event. Things just kind of got a little bit crazy, but networking is key.
Also, you should talk to Susan Blue. Susan Blue was Nanny Smurf. She was the Flintstone Kids. And she's
So cool.
one of the top voices in LA. And she might want to do a special workshop with you guys too.
See, that's how it's done, just like that. All right. You could do anything when you have the right connections. That's all I'm going to say. So thank you so much, everybody, for being on. Please send me an email. It's Alicia, ALYCIA, at V as in Victor, IP, that's my appointment, VIP Talent, TALENT, Connect.com.
Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you,
Bye, everybody. Thank you. And go Eagles. That's all I have to say. Go Eagles.
Go Patriots.
All right, guys. Have a good afternoon. Have a good weekend. Send me an email, please. Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Steve. Thank you.